Joined by Steven Caldwell and Kevin Kilbane. TSN's Rick Westhead is reporting that Alphonso Davies is close to signing a new deal with Bayern Munich. It has been one of the big questions in Canadian soccer in recent times. Would he stay in Germany or would he make the move to Real Madrid? Well, Stevie, it seems at the moment as if Bayern Munich are winning out. And I know he's getting a big contract and an awful lot of money, but for Alphonso Davies on the pitch, the player, is this the right move? Staggering amounts of money, isn't it, what's being reported for Alphonso Davies? And it's credit to him. He's one of the best left-backs in the world. He's certainly, admired throughout the world, and a lot of teams want Alphonso Davies. So, staying at Bayern Munich makes a lot of sense to me. It's a fantastic football club. He's been there, 5 or 6 years now. He's settled. He understands what it takes to play for Bayern Munich, and he's been very consistent this year. So I'm not surprised. Bayern Munich normally don't let big talents go. They normally keep a hold of their talents, and they make sure that they're comfortable and that they get the money that they feel like they deserve, Kev. So I'm not entirely surprised. I think Alphonso Davies and his team have played this quite well. You see these days a lot of players go into the last 6 months of their contract. They've got the nerve to do that, understanding their value, and it seems like Bayern Munich, in the end, have probably relented a little bit and gave him what he wanted in terms of financial package.
Yeah, I think Bayern Munich have simply scoured for the best left-back to replace him, Stevie, and the amount of money it would take probably to buy that player and then the contract on top, it makes a lot of sense for both parties, really, to agree a contract. I'm not surprised from Alphonso Davies' point of view, going back to your point before there too, Stevie, because it's something that we'd spoken about over the last year or two when he had been linked with a number of Premier League clubs. He'd been linked with, obviously, the big one, the big move to Real Madrid. I'd said constantly, I believe that he should stay at Bayern Munich. It's the best move for him to make. It's the best thing for him to do. Certainly, even the age that he is, I think he can go and be a lifelong player, or it can be almost like for a career-bound stay at Bayern Munich. Stay for your career. Be a club legend, because I think there were so many risks involved judging Alphonso Davies and the game that he's got if he was going to go elsewhere. Bayern Munich is built to suit his game. If he went to Real Madrid, which I feel as though that it might be a struggle to replace even the left-back that's currently at Real Madrid right now, if he went to the Premier League and maybe what it takes to become a Premier League fullback, I honestly think it might not have been the best move for him to make. And staying at Bayern, where everything's built around him, everybody knows exactly what he does when he plays for Bayern Munich, I think it was the perfect move for him. And I think he can stay at Bayern Munich for the rest of his career. I think that's the best move for him. He will become, in 20, 30 years' time, a real club legend for what he's achieved and the trophies that he's won while playing for Bayern Munich. I think it's just ultimately the best thing for all parties, for Bayern Munich and for Alphonso Davies. And if he were to sign that contract and stay there, I think that'll be the best for him personally. And I think he'll probably see the benefit of that when he reaches his 30s in a few years' time.
Kev, you mentioned the risks to leaving there, but Stevie, is there a risk to staying? He's been there 5 years already. Do you sometimes get bored in a certain situation? Could he become a better player by going and testing himself in one of those environments, putting him into a different environment like the Premier League or Real Madrid, where he's not as comfortable?
Every player's different, Luke. Some guys like to move on. They like to experience different things, different countries, different cultures. Some guys want to be at the same club for the entirety of their career. What I will say is, when you make it to a club like Bayern Munich, you don't want to leave too quickly. You want to make sure that is a place that you want to stay. It's a fantastic football club. They really look after their own. You build this affinity with the club, and you see many players, you won't be thinking about this at his age, but many players, even at the end of their careers, go on to have, an executive career or a coaching career at Bayern Munich. So it's a magnificent club, and I'll say that it's not a club you leave very quickly. But it seems like, to Kev's points, I think he makes great points here in terms of this team is built around Alphonso Davies. I'm not saying he's the most important player, but his ability to come from deep, from the left-back position, on a switch and be effective is exactly what this team wants, how they play, what they need. And so Alphonso Davies' attributes, I think, are very suited to this team. He might go somewhere else. It might not be the same thing. The pressure might be different on his situation when he gets to another club. So it makes a lot of sense to me. You don't go running away for a club like Bayern Munich.
Well, Kev, when you look at the speculation and the reports coming out of Germany as well, it seems as if he might become the second highest paid player at Bayern Munich behind Harry Kane. I'm sure that brings its own pressures to Alphonso Davies. It's not normal that happens to a left-back. In fact, thinking down the years, the only left-back I thought that was ever worth that kind of money would have been like a Kevin Kilbane. But Alphonso Davies, it would be a very unique position, wouldn't it, in the global game?
Yeah, Luke, I don't think I was ever the second highest paid player at any team I played for. Let's get that one straight right now. No, I think it's an interesting point, Luke, on the money that they're paying for a left back, because it's unheard of. As you say, Luke, this does not happen across the game for the amount of money that's been spoken of and the contract value to Alphonso Davies. This does not happen for a left back. This is unique in that aspect. So every time Bayern Munich, the way that they've number crunched so well over the years in terms of how their recruitment process goes about and what they're going to do, usually it gets to the stage where, as Stevie's saying, Bayern Munich don't let players go unless it's on their terms. So Alphonso Davies has played a really risky game in doing what he's done to take it down to the last 6 months of his contract, but he drove a hard bargain. And all of a sudden, Bayern Munich have looked at every single possibility that's available to them to replace Alphonso Davies. And the money it takes to get a player in, you're probably looking at 60, 70, up to 100 million to replace him for the type of player he is. And then the contract value on top of that. It just makes so much more sense for Bayern Munich to agree a deal, and so he can sign a 4 or 5 year deal, whatever it's going to be. And it seems to me, as I said before, both parties, it suits both parties, but it definitely suits Alphonso Davies with the game that's been played off the back of it because of the contract value to him. I think he could, as I said before, he could become an absolute club legend if he stayed at the club. And I said that many times before, but the contract ultimately dictates everything. It does. And no matter what we say, if the contract value or the contract that was an offer to Alphonso Davies is not acceptable, he leaves and he goes elsewhere. And he could go to many parts of the globe and he could be getting probably equal or if not more money to go elsewhere. But Bayern Munich have really pulled up the trees here to make sure that he's happy with the contract value. And that's what I'm saying, just going back to the point, Luke, it's so unusual for a left-back to be getting that type of money and to be going to the level in terms of contract value within that club. It's unheard of across the world.
Alphonso Davies already winning 5 Bundesliga titles and a Champions League as well during his time with Bayern Munich. Imagine what that trophy cabinet could look like at the end of another long-term contract with the club.